Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger and my friends. So it's been about a week since the big reveal for Virtua Fighter Crossroads, and a lot of people are very excited for the future of Virtua Fighter. Not the least of which, hey, I'm pretty excited too. And we did have a video covering the info when everything went live around Summer Game Fest, but now it's time to deep dive into everything. I'm talking, let's talk the gameplay, let's talk mechanics, let's talk the roster, who can we expect, let's talk everything Virtua Fighter. Because I want to go deep here, because I'm excited. But before we do that though, we do have a word here from our FGC sponsor, so listen up. So if you're part of the FGC, there's a good chance you've seen Reiq's artwork. He's one of the OG artists in the fighting game community. Reiq has been bringing these characters to life through official Street Fighter and Darkstalker comic covers, illustrations, and artwork loved by fans around the world. For EVO this year, he's dropping a limited edition art book celebrating 4 years of fighting game art, packed with illustrations, sketches, and a look behind the process of creating these pieces. Alongside the book, Reiq will have a fresh lineup of new stickers, posters, and merch debuting at EVO. So swing by the booth, grab something before it sells out, and FYI, I've seen Reiq at many EVOs, it will sell out, and support an artist who's been part of the community for years. Like, hey, check out this QB, you know you wanna. So I guess there'll be two parts to this video. We're going to talk a lot about the roster, but we're also going to talk a lot about gameplay. You can see the gameplay here from the single player portion. It'll be a little bit different than, the main quote unquote normal fighting game style gameplay we're used to. And that's what I want to focus on for the moment here. So I'll timestamp this, so if you want to skip the roster discussion, you can skip ahead. Otherwise, let's talk gameplay. So one of the first things to talk about is a bit of a blink and you'll miss it moment, and that has to do with what's on the UI. So first off, just a lack of something. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, there's no big bars, there's no super meters or whatever. This isn't, any other game. This is Virtua Fighter, so they're going to keep it pretty clean. And, it's going to be a proper fight. No supers, no EXs, at least that we know of at the moment. But there is something people have been wondering about that's above the characters' icons on the UI. Here you can see a big old M. And these days in fighting games, a big old M definitely has a connotation to it of, say, modern controls. Now, is this modern? Honestly, I don't think so. In the actual direct itself, they talk about how the controls are quite simple, and actually in multiple interviews, the base Virtua Fighter experience is just punch, kick, block. It's a 3-button game. Like, realistically, what is there to even simplify? The most a modern mode could do in a Virtua Fighter is remove the block button and turn it into a back-to-block game, but that would fundamentally change how the game plays. So is this simplified, easy controls? Like, I'm not going to say no, definitively, but I don't think so. I think it's one of two things. The M could mean something like weight. So juggles are different in this game, and we'll talk about that too. So maybe weight's different, but weight's traditionally a thing that's been in Virtua Fighter. Lightweights, middleweights, heavyweights, right? So it could be M for middleweight. We see it on Cielo. He looks about a middleweight, I guess. Like Wolf would be a heavyweight, but we have no other frame of context. But it could be a weight thing, just that the UI would show it on the screen, so you don't have to guess what weight the character is in the middle of a match. Maybe. But then again, maybe weight doesn't even exist anymore because combos are different. Also, maybe it has something to do with the move set. So you can see here, move set is one of the terms we have a character select along with fighting style and nationality. Now, it could just very well mean archetypes as balance, so maybe Wolf would be power. All I can say is when that has the little M above the icon, something is definitely up. So now let's go into some of the gameplay as it's been presented as it was shown. So first up here, Pai-chan doing some very familiar stuff. Like going into her back turn Mei Shouho stance, and then kick plus guard, and then the punch and kick sweep follow-up. In fact, you can see them overlaid with each other. Some of the animations are probably copy and paste from VF5 specifically, but hey, that's good. VF5 had great animations. So some things will be reanimated for existing characters, and some things will be just kind of reused. RGG Studio, if you're unaware, sort of famous for reusing assets, but good on them. But you can see here, so when this move happens in original VF5, there's no visual presentation to it, versus in Crossroads, every time Pai connects, there's a screen shake to it, right? I don't know if that has any significance gameplay wise, like say Screen Shake and Street Fighter's Plus on Block now, but just it's good visual flair. Good visual feedback as to what's going on in the match. And speaking of feedback, those block animations, right? Like targeted block. But there is this, I saw some complaints about this, where there's a lot of mini cutscenes with the attacks. Where something will happen and then you'll lose control for like roughly 1 second, right? And at least for me, that's perfectly fine. That's sort of the Virtua Fighter flow. Like you need little moments like this for breathers. Virtua Fighter, if you're unaware, is a very fast game. So like Virtua Fighter 5, you don't start with 99 seconds on the clock. You start with 45. And for the most part, you don't use all the time. Rounds go by quite quick. They can go by in mere seconds, actually, depending on the stage, because, you know, a freak ring out can happen to anybody. So I think it's a very conscious decision to have a bit more mini cinematic moments for like a little bit of a breather, like just like say in Street Fighter, when a super goes off, you see the super, you both go, okay, like mentally reset because the little cinematic is playing out. I think that's sort of the idea of having a bit more cinematic content in some of the attacks in Virtua Fighter Crossroads. Like case in point here. So Wolf does back kick, and then goes for a super kick, and then it transitions to this little mini cinematic, and he goes for the big clothesline, right? So Cielo mashed something. You can see here, when Wolf goes for the super kick, there's something being pressed, and it hits as a counter hit, and then transitions to the cinematic. That's actually part of how VF works. Like VF5, Jeffrey has punch plus kick and punch. So 2 hits, and the second hit, you can heavily stagger it. And if that hits as a counter hit, then you can get a follow, doing a throw, and then you get a giant animation. So this little mini cinematic is letting you know something big just happened. But yeah, so it could be off counter hits, could be just a big hit by itself like it looks like it is for Pi here. But yeah, just something significant happened, does a lot of extra damage, I'm assuming, and then back to the match, because matches are quick. This part's pretty quick here. I see Cielo wakes up, rolls, and does a wake up kick. So basically, don't expect the wake up game for Virtua Fighter Crossroads to be too different as you've classically known it, because wake up kicks are still very much a thing. This is just more animation feedback, but you can see here Wolf starts with like a neutral block and then contextually moves his arms upwards to block the kick, then downwards to block the mid kick. And again, this is just great visual feedback for the player. And we just talked about counter hit strings and cinematics, so this is Wolf's. So the second hit is a counter hit, and then it leads to the hidden blade, which is a nasty elbow to the back of the head. Will Ospreay classic. So here we are in game, and it's the same as Jeffrey's, right? So it's just down, back, punch, punch. And if you stagger the second punch, and it's heavily staggerable, so they can hit buttons. And if you hit it with a counter hit while they're mashing buttons, you can transition into a mini cinematic. Just newer game, newer animation. So like the animations change, but Wolf's all about, you know, wrestling moves, right? And he uses whatever's current, and now a move like the Hidden Blade or the Stormbreaker that we see later is current. But yeah, so a big decisive moment of the match, so you get a little cinematic as a reward is kind of the logic. Next up here, Cielo is using some evades. So unlike Tekken, evades are, at least I'm assuming, classical Virtua Fighter for the new game, right? They're just actually invincible. And then when he gets behind Wolf, he goes for a back throw, and back throws are generally the most devastating kind of throw. When you dodge in Virtua Fighter, you just dodge. You don't worry about hitboxes, hurt boxes. Did you dodge? You dodged. Done. Keeps guesswork out of it, keeps weird character specific, you know, left, right, whatever matchup stuff. Just simple, and I like it that way. Here you see Wolf, just more new tricks for old characters, right? So this is the classical screw hook, and then he can transition into his catch grab. So this is screw hook, and it's basically just a 2-part hitting move. And now, apparently, he can go into the catch grab from it, and then the catch grab itself has, like, you know, all sorts of options, as you can see here, and it has newer options. One of them looks to be a restand. Who says an old Wolf can't learn new tricks? Pretty good in my estimation. Like, to go from a basic string into, you know, a grab situation, it seems strong. After the restand catches him with back kick, and back kick now has a follow-up punch. Again, Wolf's learning all sorts of new toys and tech, right? And then we have the big cinematic moments. If you can win matches certain ways, you get the close-up to let you know that you really won the match in a really big way. And that visually, this is very satisfying. Here, another good example of just how the blocking works here. Pi, it's like either moving her hands around to kind of catch the punches, or just actually raising her palm up to catch a fist as it flies out. Just cool stuff all around animation-wise. And in the case of the grab follow-up here, so even when they are reusing older animations, they're giving them much more dynamic camera angles. So it's keeping everything looking real snappy and sharp, basically. And again, here we got more of the mini cinematics. This is like a big explosion you saw like in Pai-chan, so it could be a punish counter or it just could be a clean hit. But you also have the red flash, so this is the body damage system that we know a little bit about. So head, torso, or legs. And you can damage a body part, and then if you hit it again with specific moves, it can trigger more mini cinematics, let you know you got the big reward going on. I actually like the system quite a bit because it gives a different layer to the mind game. Like the usual, okay, guess, mid, low, throw, all that kind of stuff. Because now if a certain body part is damaged, and now the other player is heavily incentivized to target that body part, that wildly changes the mental stack on who's going to go what and where. Like especially in Virtua Fighter, lows aren't as incentivized, like in the Wolf example. So now I really want to go low. So now you really want to block low. So now I'm not going to go low and I'm going to hit you with a mid. So you get hit crouch blocking or something like that, right? It adds just another layer to the matchup as the match is happening. And I think that is really, really cool. And just after this here, you can still see Wolf still has his classic shoulder charge. So Pai, Wolf, all the returning characters, I'm assuming they're going to play like they always did, just with new toys. Here, Pai goes for down forward punch, a low, and then charge kick. VF is a game without big hit sparks or anything, but like you can see like the dust flow from the ground when she hits low, or just when it goes circular with the kick. Doesn't need to be giant hit sparks like Tekken necessarily, but I do like the visual flair is there. Here is a lovely new throw animation from Pai-chan, sort of kicking the leg out, then going for the giant spin kick. This is the kick that Cielo fancies he can dodge in that opening cinematic, and no, actually turns out you can't dodge it so well, you young lad. Got the delusions of grandeur. Here we see something unique about Cielo. So we know his fighting style is MMA. And we see him actually in this string transition to a stance, like a kind of catch stance, very low to the ground. And from there, double leg takedown, and then just packing a mighty wallop. And it does make me a little bit worried because like this is one of Vanessa's kind of signature things, like especially the viciousness of the ground pounds. And here's Cielo sort of eating her lunch on that, right? So not quite roster talk yet, but it makes me wonder if Vanessa might not be long for the world, because she is the vicious beatdown character. Now Cielo is doing exactly that. Next up, we can see here Wolf has his raw counter back, where he can catch single leg or single punches. So he basically grabs your limb and then hits you on the way back. Just a cool little thing he can do that just makes you feel extra dumb because he does like a hard call out on you. Now here's a big one. It looks like the core combo system of Virtua Fighter is changing. So I did speculate this, it would have been a year ago now when the initial gameplay trailer was shown, but I didn't have much concrete proof. Now it definitely looks like the case that juggles, as we traditionally have known them in Virtua Fighter, like, hit the enemy, put them up in the air, juggle them while they're in the air, 3D fighting game 101, is not gonna be the same thing anymore. This Wolf combo is a great example of that, actually. You see when he goes for the hit there, and like they kind of stumble, and then a couple extra hits and they fall to the ground, and then the follow-up. So that hit is forward punch and kick, and that's a launcher, y'all. So like that's basically the combo, and that's just a juggle. And juggles are normal in Virtua Fighter. Like Virtua Fighter's always had juggles of some form, but it looks like the day of juggles is mostly gone. Not totally gone, but mostly gone. They do say that realism is one of the things they want to hit. But even here, there's still some stuff. So that initial stun, they fall down to the ground. Another hit, which causes a bound effect. And while we don't see it here, almost certainly can be able to hit the enemy while their feet's up in the air. In fact, it's in the original gameplay trailer, right? So it's not a new concept of Virtua Fighter at all, but combo structure basically looks like they're not going to be leaving the ground too much. You'll stagger them, stun them, whatever, and basically juggle them, if you will, as they're just kind of falling down to the ground. Seems to be the new structure to be a little bit more, quote unquote, realistic. But then, that all said, so Pai here goes seemingly like a counterattack and just kind of recenters and restands Cielo, but then goes for a big power hit and actually juggles him and sends him flying. So it's not to say that the opponent will never be in the air, but it looks like it's going to be more rare, and for more cinematic occasions, makes it look like, you know, a big hit like that. Proper kung fu. Here we can see Cielo go into that stance we saw before, and not a grab this time, but a strike. Although many moves that seemingly hit low in Virtua Fighter, if they're blocked low, probably a big punish. Wolf is one of the characters with crouching grab, so he hit you while you're crouching or otherwise low to the ground, and that gives us the big old Stormbreaker. So it's one of those moves, watch out, doing something punishable on block, I guess. Although, VF being BF, Cielo should have a chance to tech the throw. You always have a chance to tech a throw. And then more of that stance again into the grab we talked about earlier, and it looks like if the move kills, you get a slightly different camera angle, because then we transition right to the KO. And finally, for gameplay, I just want to go back to about a year ago now, when they did give us a little hint on some systems and mechanics. So break and rush, where we build up damage to body parts and they glow, that seems to be as is, right? As advertised. It's in the game, obviously. Now, is Flow Guard still in the game? That's the question. So that's the fancy defense. So in the previous footage we saw, it had like a special particle effect. You could tell the character was going a little bit blue when it was going off. In this footage, we definitely seen a lot of fancy blocking, right? But we never saw that blue particle effect. So I don't know if things have changed, or maybe it just went more subtle and there's no tell anymore. This one's a bit harder to tell from the preview footage. Stagger and stun combo system, yeah, as we went over, this looks pretty much intact as it is. So a new, less floaty way to do combos, as I see here, realistic movements and impactful strikes. So combos are here, they're just different. Here's the big question mark though. So regular battles, whatever, yeah, we got those. Uprising, we still have no idea a year later what Uprising is. A new battle rules, different from regular fighting, that is dynamic, momentum based, and is basically completely different and meant to be as important as regular versus mode. And what is it? I don't know. A year later, we still got no idea. So wait and see on that. Maybe Evo or Tokyo Game Show. I don't know. But they're finally showing the game now. So hopefully we find out sooner rather than later. So that's pretty much everything gameplay. Now let's talk about the roster, because that's a very contentious issue. So we know a certain amount of characters, right? We have the 4 newcomers, Cielo, Stella, and we got their last names, by the way. So Cielo Salinas and Stella Bridge. And it's funny now, going back to the reveal, right? Because Stella is the bridge between worlds, and I guess they meant that very literally. But then we got the other 2 new characters who are very much like main characters, as these 4 new characters are the focus of the new campaign. And honestly, we don't know the first thing. We don't know names, we don't know fighting styles, moves, like anything about them other than what they visually look like. We don't know much. Like this dude apparently has like a darker background, a darker storyline. You know, all 4 characters can't be angels, especially in a crime-based plot, right? My only specific wonder is it has been hinted that Virtua Fighter would finally get a pure boxer, like not a hybrid boxer, MMA, you know, Vale Tudo, whatever. And maybe this dude could be the pure boxer. He looks cool, but yeah, we don't have much to go with. And as for the other lady, who even knows? Not to be dismissive, but the other person looks very diminutive, so I'm assuming their martial art is like a bit more tricky. Hey, speaking of tricky, maybe the inheritor of Eileen's monkey-style kung fu. Cielo we now know. Stella looks like Sarah. She fights like Sarah to a degree, has the cartwheels and everything. Is she Sarah? Who knows, but she is apparently an undercover agent, so there is that. And many fans speculate that she might be the next coming of the boss of the series, Dural, who is a bit of a metallic mimic, and with what little story there is in Virtua Fighter 4, was based off of Sarah Bryant. So is Stella like the final perfected human-like version of Dural? I guess we gotta wait and see. She's the biggest mystery the game has right now. Doubly so because on the main site, it says here that her profile is classified due to national security reasons. So whatever it is, something is up with Stella. But yeah, so going back to the main roster here, the visual we have for character select has 16 slots. And honestly, I got no reason to doubt it. I take that as, yeah, 16 characters at launch. That's regular for a modern fighting game. You know, making assets, making animations, especially a full-fledged story mode. That's expensive, y'all. And Virtua Fighter's never had a large roster to begin with. Virtua Fighter 5 has 19 characters, so I'm assuming we have the 4 newcomers who are the main crux of the story, and then it'll be 12 returning characters. And the way the character select screen works, you can easily expand out on either side for future DLC, because of course there'll be DLC, because it's a fighting game, that's how the business model works. So say we do that logic, right? 12 returning characters, who returns? Because some people are getting the axe. Like, that's gotta be real. Some are pretty easy. Hey, we literally have footage of Pi and Wolf. So like, okay, that's an easy 2. We've known about Akira since the start, so okay, that's 3. We got the cinematic with Cielo walking by the 4 Virtua Fighter legends, Pi, Wolf, Jackie, and Akira. And so yeah, Jackie, I'm gonna assume Jackie is an auto-occlude. I hate Jackie, just to be real, right? But if you launch this game without me hearing, yeah, with Jackie, you messed up. So with Jackie, now we're at 4. Jeffrey McWild, the game's resident Australian power bruiser, is already mentioned in the actual footage as part of a quest. And Richiro Yamada, the game's director, said yes, we will finally get some closure on the Satan Shark storyline. So okay, I think that's another very, very safe bet, especially because Jeffrey's pretty popular. And I'm glad just so many years I've spent shilling the Satan Shark story, because Virtua Fighter's only notable story bit is finally getting some closure, thank God. So with Jeffrey effectively an auto lock, that puts us at 5 returning characters and the 4 new ones. We're at 9 characters now. And there is a blink and you'll miss it moment in the trailer. Only there for like a split second in the trailer, but there's a shot here of somebody who looks a lot like a ninja. I've slowed it down here and brightened up the picture. Still a bit difficult to make out some detail, but this could very well be Kage Maru, Virtua Fighter's resident ninja. Like, what's a fighting game without a ninja, right? You always need at least one. Now, granted, I'm saying Kage Maru simply because it looks like a ninja. It could be anyone else. It could be an all-new character for all we know, but there's only one ninja in the series, and this looks like a ninja, so, you know, call a spade maybe, but take it as you will. But let's say this is Kage Maru, and then that's 6 returning characters. The 7th returning character is actually in this little relationship chart. Maybe. So you can see a bunch of characters here, and to be sure, a lot of these are just all new, never existing before in the franchise. Enrique and Chuck, well, I don't know, not to my knowledge, right? Cisco we see very briefly in the storyline trailer after Cielo wins his fight. But then we got this, the Bakunawa Killer, someone who is in a mask. Who would need a mask unless you want to hide your identity, right? And the thing is, Virtua Fighter does have some nasty killers. And while this is certainly no guarantee, I have an idea who this might be. Especially because this person, what little we see behind the mask, has very pale skin. So granted, I'm going off just pale skin here, but we need more returning cast, right? I believe that this is Go Hinogami, who is our resident edgelord character in Virtua Fighter. So pale skin, check. Murderer, check. Go is a paid assassin, like he is a murderer, right? And reintroducing a character through the story as, like, you know, a masked villain or whatever, I think is a perfect fit for someone like Go, because that's the kind of guy that he is, to be real, right? So he's our judo master, all sorts of judo holds, but he's also just a rude dude with a bad attitude, as you can kind of get here. Like, again, no real proof here, but just he's just the kind of guy who would be the killer if anyone would be in this game, right? And again, we need more returning characters. And also, of the cast, Go is one of the more popular characters, right? So just makes sense on a lot of levels. And while we're going back to Virtua Fighter 5, there's definitely some people that just won't be returning, or at least very unlikely. Like, Shun-Di is a crisp 100 years old. And, there's a big time skip, right? So it's likely that one of the newer characters could be his disciple. Like, say, our new unknown character wearing the business suit. A business suit person who cuts loose with drunken kung fu. I would be down with that, actually. So could be a myriad of things, although could be her own unique style, we don't know. But it's likely someone like Shun-Di would be replaced by a newer character. Or Lao Chan. So Lao Chan, in Virtua Fighter, his story's been he's been dying. Like, he's like 30 years younger than Shun-Di, and he looks worse than him. Like, there's blood in his eyes and stuff in his official profile picture, right? Things ain't going good. So with the time skip and the fact that Pi went from like 18 years old to 40 years old, I don't think he's living another 20 years. Let's put it that way, right? So I'm assuming he'll go, his moveset will be mostly dispersed into Pi-Chan for the bits that they don't share. And then there is Lei Fei. So Lei Fei is the monk with a million different stances, and that's sort of just his thing, right? And part of his story is he wants Lao's technique. So if Lao passes away, then all of a sudden we basically move the moveset between the two characters. So Pai gets some of the moves, and Lei Fei can get kind of like the stance and all the rest of it. That makes sense, although there's no hints for Lei Fei as a character yet. For more returning characters, there's a lot of speculation that this character specifically is Leon, but I don't think it can be. One, he looks a little bit more Asian than French, and two, with the severe time skip, unless he's getting some real work done, I don't think he'd be looking that young anymore. Although, if anyone were to get the work done, it would be Leon, because in his own words, he does not make allowances for old men. That said, though, I can't fully discount the visual similarity, right? Because there definitely is something there. So it could be another like next generation thing, like this is a Leon student or another Mantis style user. Remains to be seen how this will play out. And then when we just get to the rest of the cast, right? Like, Dural could be Stella. Sarah is nowhere to be seen. Kage, maybe. Jeffrey, almost certainly. Wolf, we know. Lao might be dead. Pai and Akira are in the game. Shun will probably be dead. Leon, we just talked about. Someone like Aoi? Like, Aoi, yeah, probably. She's popular. Makes sense. Lei Fei, popular, makes sense. Brad and Vanessa, the fact that Cielo is eating their lunch a little bit on some of the moves that he's doing makes me wonder. I think they're crazy if they don't have Vanessa in the game. Vanessa is consistently one of the people who gets new characters looking at the game. You could argue there's a couple of big reasons why, but I'll just tell you, of all the character guides ever made for Virtua Fighter 5, my Vanessa guide is the most clicked video, and I think there's a reason for it. Let's put it that way, right? So I really think they need Vanessa in the game. Like, fighting games have a lot of sex appeal characters, and she's like basically the closest the game gets to a sex appeal character besides maybe the new Stella. Go? Hey, we just talked about it. I think it's very likely he's in the game that he's the killer. Eileen? Maybe. El Blaze? I gotta assume he's in the game. Like, Wolf is given his own faction and what little story that we know, so you need more wrestlers to have a faction. And plus, Luchador style is very different than the style like Wolf does, like more professional wrestling style, right? Taka's missed games before. It's always a trouble because he has his own unique weight system. Like, moves that launch, don't launch them. It might knock them back, won't launch them. Moves that, like, toss people around, like, people visibly struggle to move them. Like, this move is supposed to be a big choke slam, and he can barely get Taka off the ground. Like, Taka has a bunch of unique rules, which have always caused issues. And it's very difficult for new players to do anything against him because he's so big, because you have to learn like a specific match of a character that's playing a different game than everyone else. So I would love, like, I love sumo wrestlers, right? But like Taka's a bit of a problem sometimes because he's just too big for his own good. And Jean Cujo, well, I mentioned here how male fans love Vanessa. Ladies love Jean. He's the pretty boy. And just like we need pretty ladies, we need some pretty boys, right? And plus, he has a very popular style. He's the karate character. People love karate. He's very popular pick-wise. In Virtua Fighter 5, he's one of the easiest characters to use to begin with. So I feel he should return. Last thing to talk about is another quote-unquote new character. Technically, Siba has been here since the start. So it is official, this game will be translated into Arabic, and maybe we might be getting our technically first Arabic fighter, even though he's been here since the start. So Siba was part of the original Virtua Fighter 1 cabinet. Like, if you ever saw the original cabinet, he's on the cabinet. The old art's still there, but it says Akira, because Akira replaced Siba, which is funny because Akira went on to be the face of the franchise. He would eventually go on to be in Fighters Megamix, so he would get some time to shine. But maybe, just maybe, Siba might finally get to live in Virtua Fighter like he was always originally meant to in the upcoming Crossroads. Big wait and see on that, though. So, if we have 16 characters at launch, we have the 4 newcomers who are the face of the plot, and it looks like we got a good amount of the existing roster already spoken for. It's just a matter of some people, like, will they return because they're just too old? Will they have a new protege take their spot? Will some characters just return as is, or will it be an effective new character that plays like the existing version? Because, like, again, a lot of these characters, like, I like them. I grew up with these characters, but for most of the people that this game is going to be sold to, there's no attachment to a lot of them. So if they get replaced by a younger, newer version, I don't think too many people will be tore up, honestly. but it's a wait and see. So like we got enough hints here. Jeffrey, Kage, probably Go. Like they look like semi-locks for the game. Same as Jackie because he's literally in the mural, but everyone else, well, they're going to do a lot of marketing. This game's at least a year out, so expect a lot more trailers and probably soon at EVO itself. But yeah, so I'm very excited if you have not figured this out by now. I'm very excited for this game. I just want to yap about it. This video is going to be, oh my god, about a half hour long. So I hope you've enjoyed to this point. I love speculating. I love just figuring stuff out. So if you want to talk about anything about the roster or the gameplay or anything really about the new Virtua Fighter Crossroads, by all means, please post in the comments below. But otherwise, well, my friends, that's it for me and that's it for the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Virtua Fighter.